I only think about one thing. So I feel really relaxed planting a tree. When I plant a tree, there is this presence, and also the symbolic. So each tree has a symbolic. For example, the oak tree, symbols of strength and power. The linden tree, symbol of love because of the heart-shaped leaves. And so, then all the conifers, it's immortality. So you have also this symbolic that you can feel.
Welcome to reVyven, where environmental ideas come to life. At reVyven, we aim to connect, learn, and make a difference.
Gilles, thank you for being with us today. We wanted to find out why you and Aline started Almighty Tree.
All right. Well, we always wanted to launch our own company. We come from a family of entrepreneurs, so we saw our parents working, creating their own companies. And we wanted to do something that has some meaning. So we've been working in many industries and never really found was what we loved. And so the goal was to do something with passion and with our heart. And so we always were passionate about nature. So this is why we lean toward this field. And then I got inspired by planting trees and actually allowing people to come plant trees with us and allowing companies to actually do something concrete and plant trees with us. I was in Bali actually, and that's where I got the idea. I really wanted to motivate Swiss company to plant trees in Bali or to recycle plastic. I saw a big problem with plastic over there. When I was back in Switzerland, I was working for the HEG, the School of Management of Fribourg, in the innovation with the students. And I was something was missing. It was not enough action, and that's when I was already developing some ideation with the students. So I was like, why not launching my own? And that's when we start looking around. Is it possible actually to plant trees in Switzerland? Is it needed to plant trees in Switzerland? And this is when we start talking with forester, with the forest experts, and we saw that there is a real need to replant trees because of climate change in Switzerland. And why not doing it local? So that's when we started to talk with company as well. And that's when we saw that they would willing to plant locally. This is how Almighty Tree started.
That's so nice. So from an experience you had in Bali, the idea kind of came to you, but then you thought instead of having it overseas, why not bring it local?
Yes, this is it. And this is what we noticed, that it's also very interesting for people to do it also local. It is necessary to plant abroad, and we do plant trees abroad as well. But locally, we also need to take care of our forest, and this is also showing the people that actually climate change is also right next to us. So we have an effect on it, and we need to act.
Absolutely. And did you, as children, spend a lot of time outdoors and in nature?
Yeah, so we were born in close to a forest. So we had a dog, so we were always out there in the forest. But also I was a scout. So, I loved just going camping and doing all of this activity, all the walk with the scouts. Yeah.
That's so nice. So your business is like an extension of your childhood, which is really cool.
Yeah, it's interesting. I went through many phases. I also worked in the US, for example, in hospitality. So it's totally different. And I think that life brought me back to my past, I would say.
Yeah, that's so cool. I believe we read on your website that you are, and this is a direct quote, driven by the beauty of our planet. We have to totally agree with you on that statement. We think that the world is certainly a beautiful place, and particularly Switzerland is no exception. What is your mission at Almighty Tree? Do you have a mission or vision that drives you?
Yes, it would be, first of all, to sensitize, raise awareness about climate change in general and how we could act, so the population and companies, and how we could act actually locally as well. And creating this connection between the forester or the farmer that needs to plant trees and the companies and individuals that would like to do this act of planting a tree. So we're facilitating this. So it's about facilitating and raising awareness.
Yeah.
Nice.
You said two things that we found remarkably interesting, and I think this was also from your website. One, you say that trees are magical. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, well, they have so many benefits. They are amazing for biodiversity. It's really needed in order to have this all of the animals living close to us and creating this world that we actually live in and this ecosystem. So there is this biodiversity aspect. There is also the fact that they will purify the air and take CO2 and reject oxygen. It's also for our well-being. It's been proven that it reduced the stress by 28%. There is this common practice in Japan called Shinrin-yoku, which is forest bath. And we feel it when we go in the forest, in the nature, we feel that they have an effect. They can teach us how to be more calm. And there is this connection that's we sometimes lose when we live in a city and in the society, in the actual society. Sometimes we forgot about actually a lot of food comes from the trees. Our trees are helping us creating this ecosystem and well-being around us. So there is this part. I would say they're magical, and then they are also resilient. The way they live, the way they live hundreds of years longer than us, and the way they function, that they are alive. So for us, it's really magical. Right?
Yeah, we couldn't agree with you more. You also allude to the fact that they're intelligent. Do you have anything you want to share on their intelligence?
Yeah, there is few things that has been researched, such as that the trees are communicating with each other through the mushrooms. For example, when you have a deer that are eating leaves from a tree in the beginning of the forest, for example, they will communicate with each other, and the next trees will release some kind of acidic things in order not to be bitten by the deer. It's pretty incredible. They have also the way of giving the nutrients to the family. So the little ones that grow around, they actually helping each other with nutrients. So those things are, I would say, pretty intelligent for species that we see always just like being, that they also are working together.
Yeah, there's so much that happens that we don't see, but it's really interesting that it's all transpiring around us, but in an invisible way to us. So it's very cool. And you kind of alluded to this earlier, Gilles, but we have a changing landscape because of climate change and environmental changes. Can you tell us why you think trees are necessary, particularly now? With everything changing and with the climate and fluctuation with the climate, what role do trees play in this?
Well, it's an ecosystem that's been here for many years. Now, what we could see is the purifying of the CO2 and the air in general. There is also the ozone, the azote, the sulfur. So there is this photosynthesis that they do, rejecting oxygen, and also then putting the carbon down in the soil, in the trunk, but also in the soil, and they will also nourish the soil with leaving the leaves in the fall, for example. They play a role in the equilibrium of our earth, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, we met with an organization that plants trees in the city, and so we got to learn more about the role of trees in urban environments, but it's equally as important in forest areas and to maintain, like you said, the equilibrium. I think that's very important.
Yeah, and I mean the forests are changing, or because of climate change, there's an evolution now that's taking place. You explained too that the biodiversity, but also the types of trees that need to be restored is different. Do you want to touch on that?
Yeah, so why we need to plant trees in Switzerland? It's because we have few of the species that are not reacting well to the climate change. Mm-hmm. So it's warmer from the 80s, it's warmer and warmer. And especially in the lowlands, it has an effect on our forest. And there is, for example, the beech tree and the spruce tree. It's actually the two tree species that we are more common in Switzerland. 50% of the forest spruce tree and about 20% it's a beech tree. It depends on the region for sure, on the canton, but that's about an average. And when we see that they are not doing well because of climate change, we have a lot of droughts, and they have the root system that doesn't go very deep, so they cannot take the water easily, and they're weakened, so they get attacked. It could be just for the beach is it's being dry. They start to be dry, and the spruce tree they got attacked by the bark beetle, and this will make a family inside the bark, the living part of the tree. And then normally it take the sap up to drown the insects, but when they're weakened, they cannot do it. So they will dry in a few weeks when they got attacked by the bark, and they're not strong enough to fight. So also what we've done, it's a lot of monoculture of a spruce tree, because it comes from the mountains. It remains pretty good over there and still in good shape. But in lowlands, it's been planted easily in a monoculture way. So when we have trouble like that, we need to cut all the trees, and it makes a big hole. And for example, if we had a diversity, it would just maybe kill one or two trees. But when you have only the same type of tree, the bug will just go to the next tree and the next tree, and it goes very fast because they make families. So it's actually multiplying very fast. And this is why we need to plant diverse species of tree. And this is because we don't know what the future will be with global warming. And typically when they planted all of these trees back in the days, they didn't know that we will be warmer. It won't do as well in 50 or 100 years. It's important to have different tree species. They can also put the seeds where they are. So if one of the species will be attacked by another bug, or will not anymore be adapted to the climate change, they will you have another species that can take over. So this is why when we plant trees, we plant several tree species, and the same as we did with you in Basel, Special Kids, when we planted it was a huge mix of species, and we were back in Waldenburg last Monday.
Oh, really?
Nice.
Okay.
Nice region. So yeah, the goal is to really diversify those the forest with species that are more adapted. So, for example, we will plant oak trees, linden tree. The oak, for example, has pivoting roots that go very deep when it's dry, so it can get the water very deep. The linden doesn't need a lot of water. The large tree, for example, the wild cherry, also the maple trees. So according to research, the VSL, Waldschnee-Landschaft, is the Swiss National Research Center. They have some species that they've been studying that are more adapted. So this is why we need to diversify the forest with those species.
That's excellent. Yeah, I think what you touched on is a really important factor right now, is looking at I think there's also research, according to our first meeting with Meinbaum, Deinbaum, but about looking at what they're referring to as future trees, or like you said, trees that can withstand long periods without rain, those that have deeper root systems. So I think this is really important for, like you said, the biodiversity of the forests. And it's nice to hear that you're not focusing on planting just one type, that you're really diversifying where you're planting the types of trees. I think it's also kind of like living research to see which trees are faring better over time. And that's what I think we'll do as we see these influxes in weather and the climate. So I think that's really very important to focus on. And do you see, or we were reading a bit about this, that sometimes forests have the ability to withstand or come back from changes in the climate, or they're capable of recovering? Are you seeing that in Switzerland, or are you seeing a lot of need to just come in and replant altogether?
So the trees, the nature will adapt, and actually the nature will make the work, but it might take way longer. But also what we hear that is the tree, they are actually genetically changing. So in few generation of trees, they see that they need to adapt to this climate. So maybe the little trees will be more resistant. So, but it will just take way longer. And as we could see with the beech trees and the spruce tree, is that they don't have any future because they've been taken down, like for example, the spruce tree down from the mountains in the lowlands. And this is not where they were originally. So there is also the fact that we start by planting trees. We start by actually changing the forest dynamics, and now they're not doing well. And the needles have changed the soil as well because it's a bit acidic. So now when you cut them all, you don't have any other trees, only those spruce tree were. So this is why we need to replant in those places. So I would say that the trees will make the job, and also with many years they will be fine. And as we could see also in Chernobyl, for example, the nature has taken back their power there, and there is trees everywhere, and it's lots of nature over there because they didn't touch anything for a long time. As far as we talk about planting trees, it's necessary to boost actually this mechanism actually by coming and actually having the tree species such as oak that are not present in this place, and bringing them there, because we have, for example, the maple trees. They have this samar that goes like helicopters. So with the wind, they can spread around. The oak, the acorn, just like fall down where they are, and sometimes are brought by birds. But when you are in a place where you see that climate change as an effect, and those trees now they are not anymore adapted, we bring these species. And like such as oak, and it will then make also families, and you have the seeds over there. So it's enrich and boost. It's more like giving a boost to the nature.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. And how high up do you plant in the Alps or in the mountains, Gilles, when you plant?
Highest projects. We don't plant a lot in the forest, the mountain forest, because they are doing pretty well over there.
Okay.
And actually, it's growing every year in the forest, in the mountain forest. It's they taking 60 centimeter heights every year. We're losing glacier, permafrost, but we're gaining the forest, and also the Swiss forest is growing. So it's doing pretty well in the forest mountain. But we have a few projects over there. For example, it's creating a forest protection forest against avalanche and fall of stones, for example. So it's in Morgin, and it's at 1,500 meter high.
Okay.
This is the highest that we have. And over there, we've planted large trees, maple trees, and Douglas as well, and white fir. And this diversity will, in few years, and also over there, it will grow slower because the period of vegetation it's lower because of the cold. It will take time, but it's been it started 5 years ago, and now every year we plant more trees over there, and hopefully it will create this protection for the village of Morgin.
Ah, it's nice. That's a cool project for sure.
There was also a fire in Valais a few years ago. Do you go into those areas as well and help plant, or do you have people that you work with in those areas?
That's a good question. We might go over there. We haven't had the needs or contacted the people over there. Also because after a fire, you need at least 1 year to actually the soil it's not ready to welcome new trees directly after the fire. So it will take time before replanting the trees. And I guess that for that kind of disaster, then you also have the Confederation that will help for replanting trees over there. And so we focus on the region where there is a real needs also financially to come and help to plant the trees. And so over there, maybe there will be a need. We will see in the future. But for now, not yet. No.
Okay.
Yeah. And since you just talked about the regions that have the most need, what areas are those in Switzerland that you're seeing that you're planting most prevalently in?
In the lowlands.
Okay.
And the lowlands where we had a lot of spruce tree. So the biggest problem, and it's really the bark beetle attacking the spruce tree. So the places where they planted the most spruce tree, that's where we go. And so in the lowlands in general, we have a lot of projects in the canton of Vaud, in region La Côte. Over there, you have a lot of this problem with the bark beetle, but also in Aargau, in Bern as well. We go in 11 cantons. But we see the most important, like where the foresters are calling us a bit sad. They're like, oh, where after this dry summer, they go in the forest, they see the beginning of an attack of the bark beetle, and they're like, yeah, we need to cut them, and so they sad to cut those big seeing them drying. So yeah, it's mainly in lowlands.
Okay. And when a tree has been attacked by a bark beetle, can it still be used for something else, whether that be firewood or pellets? Can it still be used?
Yeah, so if they see very soon, in a short notice, they see the attack, they cut it as soon as possible so that the wood is still in good condition. If it's been a few weeks, then the wood is not as a good quality, so it becomes a bit blue. It's because of a mushroom, and the quality and the price of this wood is less interesting. And they do other type of things. They actually do some protection. You might remember when we planted the tree, we needed to protect them against the wild animal, because when you plant those new trees, it's like a salad buffet. The deer, they come and they eat all the buds, and they also make the woods that they grow for the small deer, and they scratch the bark. So we need to protect them. So they do, for example, protection in a spruce tree that have been attacked by bark beetle. But then you can also use it for firewood, for eating, for example. So it depends on the quality and it's been attacked.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. Now I think we'll talk about your tree planting days and the structure of that. We were lucky enough in October of 2021 to work with you to do a tree planting day in Basel-Land. But can you tell us a bit about the structure of a tree planting day, like how people find out about it, how you work with companies or organizations, and the whole structure?
Well, we do tree planting days with the individuals. So on our website, someone can decide to plant a tree for someone else, for their mom, for a birthday, as a symbolic gesture, for example. And we create in three regions so far, in Switzerland. In Aargau, Vaud, and Fribourg, we create a tree planting day for the individuals. This is so everybody can come. You also came in Aargau once.
Yes.
You were already experimented. And so those are like the tree planting days with the community, with the one that's the individuals. And so we organize that, and we start by telling us why we plant trees in Switzerland. We saw some explanation. The forester always talk about the forest area and why they had to cut those trees. And this is very interesting for the forester to share this information, because sometimes those huge trees that they have to cut, it's because they're dry or because they have to renew. It's about sustainable forest management, and they're dangerous. Sometimes they're dry, so they need to cut them. But the people sees that and they're like, oh, they're assassin. They're killing the trees, and they eventually scream that. And so they're very happy when they can talk with the population, say that no, this tree is been attacked, is weakened by climate change. We need to act. And so for them, it's very interesting. And then we have the tree planting activities. That's the best part, where people, and when we do that with families, it's always very, very nice to see the kids. They love doing that, and great synergy planting those trees. And then we have also we don't do the quiz for the community events, but yeah, maybe when for the company we do a quiz as well. So they finish, they have a quiz, they can, and then we have they can like some hot drinks, and we do also aperitif, for example, at the end. So often the companies, how they contact us. There is always, it's an initiative from someone in the company. Sometimes they have incentives from the boss that they say that, oh, we need to do something green. Or sometimes it's just a worker that says, oh, why not planting trees? Why not doing something meaningful this year as a team building? And so they contact us through internet, they find us and they contact us. We always have a talk and explain them how it will be. And it's a half-day activity. And so we plan like exclusive events for companies. And it's great for them to just like come being in nature. Often they're like, oh, we are in front of computers all day. So they're very happy to be in the nature. And often they when they arrive, they don't know what's going on. They're like, okay, they tell us that we need to plant trees, and then they don't have like the big smile. But at the end of the event, they all leave with the big smile. So for us, it's very interesting. My sister Aline, she's always also talking about the other side of the forest, so the well-being, and we have. Half of the people that are more sensitized maybe about that, and they go to my sister and say, oh yeah, I go often to hug trees. I really like what you said. And they understand. So yeah, they connect in this level, for example. So it's always, we have always good feedback and rewarding to welcome people in this.
Yeah. And we've also noticed it can be quite an emotional experience for people to plant trees and to put something in the earth and then to be so invested that they hope it grows and thrives and does well. We still see people in our neighborhood and around who are part of our tree planting day. And the question they always ask is, how are the trees doing? And we've gone back to visit once, but we're hoping to go again in the spring. But people feel really connected to the experience and to the trees that they plant. So I think there's something very powerful in that. And I think that's really beautiful when people get their hands dirty and they're very much invested in how that single or however many trees they're able to plant that day, how it does. There's something really to that. And I think it's really nice. And once the tree is in the ground, is it then the responsibility of the forester to kind of overlook it? Is there any monitoring, any tracking of how they're doing?
Yes, so when we first plant them, it is critical to then take care of them, especially you have a lot of brambles because when you have a tree planting, often it's because we had to cut some trees that were dry, and when you have a lot of light directly in once, you have a lot of brambles that are growing, and these brambles will cover the trees and take the light away from the trees. So every year, the forester go back over there and they cut all of this bramble. So there is this leaving the light to the trees that is very important the first 4 years. There is also this protection that we will leave it for 10 years, around 10 years. So that the trees, it's strong enough. If we plant them in a good condition, we have a very good survival rate, about 95%. We calculate all of monitoring aspects, the fact that a tree will absorb in average 260 kilograms. We calculate on a 80% survival rate. So this is how we calculate. And then also what we do is we have a tree tracker online. It's especially and paradoxally a way for people to actually connect people with nature, for knowing where the trees are and going to visit. So with the tree tracker, they can click on a Google Map link and also learn more about the project, why it's been planted there. And the goal every 2 years after, it's to go and see what's the survival rates, how the trees have grown and the diameter. So this is that will be also updated in the tree tracker.
That's a cool thing. That's nice that you're able to track them and see how well they're doing. And we're kind of winding down now, but we have a few more questions for you. We noticed that you've planted, and maybe these numbers have changed, but over 40,000 trees in the world. Is that correct?
Yes, 50 now, because we planted, this fall season we've planted 11,000 trees. So and we actually still planting some in living edge, and that's actually interesting. Yeah, we did not finish to plant them. The planting season it's arriving at the end, but for the living edge we can still plant. Because it's in lowlands. So living edge, it's some trees that we plant at the farmers. It's close to the crops. We had a lot of those back in the days around the crops, the field. Those trees were great for biodiversity. It was just a line of trees, bushes, also big trees, but a lot of bushes that will bring flowers and also some fruits. for biodiversity. It creates also a habitat for the animals. It protects against the wind, against the erosion. It will nourish the soil. So that's something that we do more and more, plant trees in living edge. Back in the days, they had a lot, but with big machinery and production, they were a bit annoyed by those living edge. And they were like, okay, let's cut them and plant all corn or all colza or things like that. And now we notice that we have erosion. When it's dry, it's even drier. So we're losing a lot of biodiversity. So this is actually where we replant more and more trees in this environment. We talked a lot about forests, but there is also this part that we're pushing right now. And so we're still finishing to plant around 6,000 trees in the region La Côte between Geneva and Lausanne this December, actually.
Wow.
We've been under the snow lately, but yeah.
That's a cool project for sure.
Yeah, so we've planted 50,000 trees so far.
Nice. Congratulations. That's amazing.
Yes, and there is around 40 in Switzerland in total, 40,000.
Okay.
Ah, fantastic. Well, congratulations on the work that you and your sister are doing. We think it's really awesome. And just to wrap up, because we are running out of time, we're going to ask you just a couple of quick questions. It's called our speed round. And so whatever comes to mind, Gilles, you can just blurt it out. Okay. So do you believe that one person or one organization has the power to impart positive change?
Yes, positive for sure.
Yeah.
Yes, but of course it's more like everyone should be, and more you have, the more impact you have. So, but it always starts with one seed, like a tree. One seed can grow mighty trees. So always one push for one can bring 2, 3, 4, and thousands. So for sure, yeah.
Yeah. What is the feeling you personally get when you put a tree in the earth?
It's actually meditative. I love planting trees because you only think about one thing, about this tree and the fact that it has some symbolic and it will grow for the next generation. So it's meditative. I only think about one thing. So I feel great. I feel really relaxed planting a tree. Not in the multitask. Every day in the society, we always multitasking. So when I plant a tree, there is this presence. And also the symbolic. So each tree has a symbolic. For example, the oak tree, symbols of strength and power. The linden tree, symbol of love because of the heart-shaped leaves. And so, yeah, then all the conifers, it's immortality. So you have also this symbolic that you can feel.
Nice.
That's so cool. That's so nice. And do you have a favorite book?
Yeah, I would say the Power of Now.
Okay. No, nice. Okay. What impact do you hope to have on the world?
Well, a positive one, more than a negative one. So trying to balance, because we know that we have a footprint and the way we live has an impact. So I would try to have a positive one and actually I think especially being able to talk and raise awareness so that it's like a snowball effect and other people can also talk around, and we all try to reduce and do some good gesture, such as planting trees, helping organizations that are helping the world to make a better place. So yeah, do all I can to help.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. And if people wanted to find out more about Almighty Tree, how do they go about finding you, Gilles?
So the best way would be to go on our website where you have like most of the information, and then we organize a talk. We can just like through emails or we can do a Zoom calls or even meeting in person to learn more about what we do and what people can do or what can do together.
Yeah. And what is your website? Can you just tell us the address, please?
Yes, it's 3W almightytree.ch.
Okay, perfect. And I know the holidays are coming up. So can people buy trees as a gift for someone that they love or in remembrance of someone?
Yeah, and we have a lot of people doing so. Yes, online you can see that you can either plant a tree. You can select the region and say, "Oh, I want a tree in Aargau because we live close by, so we can go visit it," for example. And they can also send a card to their loved ones with a tree planted. We have also some small tree of life keyring,
Yeah.
and some bracelet as well that they can offer, and always one of those items will plant a tree in
Very
Switzerland.
nice. Very nice. Well, Gio, we commend you for the work you're doing because we've been a part of it. So we can attest to what a good experience it is. And even for people of all ages, I think they all really enjoy it. And then, like I said earlier, people are really invested in how well the trees do. And then the replanting of forests is something really dynamic to be a part of. So we wish you continued success on your journey, and we hope we can be part of another tree planting day with you in 2024.
Yes, thank you so much for the interest that you have and the great energy toward this subject, and that we already planted tree twice to get together. So never two times unless three times. I don't know in English, but
yes.
So
probably the more the merrier, right? Yeah.
Never two without three. The translation from French expression.
Oh, cool. That's very nice.
Gio, thank you for taking the time to meet with us today. We really believe in the work you're doing at Almighty Tree, and it's our hope that you continue to plant trees in Switzerland and around the world. Thank you.
We hope you have enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to be awesome and share this podcast with your friends. Click subscribe, rate, and review. Do you have a story to tell? An organization you'd like to tell the world about? We love to hear from you and our global community. So please get in touch with us at reVyven.com. That's reVyven.com. Or send us an email at reVyven.com@gmail.com.